Ever get that, that feeling like a shiver down your spine?
Yeah.
When you're on a plane at night, just about to touch down,
Oh, yeah.
and you see all those lights on the runway guiding you in. It's kind of mesmerizing, isn't
It's
it?
like a secret language or something, one that
Totally. And speaking of secret languages, that's what made us want to dig into this career guide about ground lighting officers, right?
absolutely.
You, our listener, wanted to know more about the wizards behind the curtain, so to speak. Those folks making sure those landings are the smoothest part of your trip.
And it really is its own world. Even I have to admit, as someone who, knows the ins and outs, the precision of it all, still kind of magical.
Right. It's easy to assume it's as simple as, like, keep the lights on, but this guide really opened my eyes. Ground lighting officers, they're practically air traffic controllers who speak in light.
That's a great way to put it. What's fascinating to me is how they make sure those pilots get the right message, even without, hearing a word. You've got your runway lights, yeah, but also taxiway lights, approach lights.
Well, hold on. So it's more than just, like, on or off.
Oh, absolutely. Different colors, intensities, all working together. It's a whole visual language guiding those aircraft safely.
Okay, see, that's what I mean about mind-blowing. I was reading this guide earlier, and it said one red light, just one, at the end of a runway means, get this, airport closed, do not land. Talk about high stakes.
No kidding. The margin for error is, pretty thin, which is why these officers are so crucial for safety, especially in bad weather. Imagine landing a plane in thick fog. You're essentially flying blind.
Don't even get me started on fog. I get anxious just driving in it.
Well, now imagine a system that can detect that fog before it even becomes a problem for the pilots, automatically adjusting those runway lights for max visibility.
Hold on. What? So it's like future tech stuff, too.
That's the kind of technology that's really changing this whole field.
That is not just changing light bulbs, man.
Yeah.
Okay, I need a minute to process. But for a typical day, what are these, like, tech-savvy heroes doing? The guide gave us a pretty good rundown, didn't it?
Yeah, it's a real mix. You've got that hands-on work alongside some serious high-tech problem-solving. Inspections, troubleshooting faulty components, replacing parts, that's all in a day's work.
Right, like the nuts and bolts of it.
Exactly. But then you've got the paperwork, got to make sure that's all in order, and the collaboration with other teams, and of course, constantly staying up to date on all the latest technology, just like we were talking about.
And let's not forget, a lot of this is happening outdoors, right? Rain or shine, they're out there. The guide didn't exactly sugarcoat the challenges.
It's definitely not for everyone, that's for sure.
But it did say, and I quote, being able to work both indoors and outdoors was a perk.
Well, there's a certain satisfaction to it, I'll say that. To be out there at 3 a.m. in the pouring rain, troubleshooting a lighting system, knowing you're keeping people safe, it takes a special kind of person.
So, for anyone listening who's thinking, that's me, I'm that special person. Good news. This guide also lays out the career path pretty clearly. Start as a technician, work your way up to engineer, then senior engineer, maybe even manager one day.
It's a field with tons of room for growth, which is always encouraging. As you gain experience, expertise, those leadership and strategic planning skills, those become crucial, especially as you climb the ladder.
And speaking of climbing that ladder, the guide does highlight a few key things. Certifications, for example. An electrician license, FAA certifications, ICAO, some tangible steps for folks who are serious about this.
Yeah, those are like badges of honor in this field. It shows you've got the knowledge, the skills to handle the responsibility, keeping those runways lit, those planes landing safely. It's a big deal.
Okay, so say you've got the passion, you're working towards those certs. Now what? Time for the interview. This guide, it even has a whole section on interview questions, like a sneak peek behind the curtain.
Oh, it's invaluable, that kind of insight. They're not just looking for someone who can talk the talk. They want to see that you can walk the walk, too.
For sure. One question that stood out to me, what experience do you have working with ground lighting systems? I mean, that's your time to shine, right?
Absolutely. Tell them about the projects you've worked on, challenges you overcame, the results you achieved. Show them that technical expertise, but also that passion. Passion for this unique field goes a long way.
And another one caught my eye was about communication. Something like, how do you manage communication with other airport personnel regarding ground lighting issues? Talk about high-pressure communication, right?
Oh, for sure. Clear, concise. That's key here. You're the link between air traffic control, maintenance crews, even emergency services sometimes. How you communicate, especially under pressure, that can make or break the whole operation, no pressure.
Right. But what if you don't have that direct airport lighting experience yet? Well, don't worry. This guide has you covered. It lists some alternative job titles, things like automotive electrician, power tool repair technician, skills that translate surprisingly well.
It's all about those transferable skills, right? Have you worked with complex electrical systems before? Master troubleshooter? Do you thrive in, fast-paced environments? Those are all super valuable in this world.
So, for those whose curiosity is officially piqued, we've only just scratched the surface. In the next part of our deep dive, we'll explore the specific challenges, the rewards, and those future trends shaping things for ground lighting officers. Back again, diving deeper into the world of ground lighting officers. Before, we were talking about, breaking into the field, the skills you need. And this guide actually lays out the whole career ladder. Pretty neat to see how the responsibilities change as you move up.
It shows you can start strong, but then specialize too. More leadership, more strategy.
Right? Like you start as a ground lighting technician, right? Entry level, getting your hands dirty, literally. The guide makes it sound like you're learning the systems inside and out.
Yeah, think of it like an apprenticeship, but for, the airport runway. You're assisting those inspections, maybe doing some basic repairs, making sure the paperwork's all in order. It's about building that essential, groundwork.
Okay, so you're basically an airport electrician at that point. And then from there, you can climb up to ground lighting engineer. That seems like where you really start, I don't know, calling the shots a bit more.
It's where that critical thinking comes in, the leadership. You're not just following instructions anymore. You're leading the inspections, overseeing when they install new lighting systems, making sure everything meets those super strict safety regulations.
I was picturing this earlier. The guide paints a picture of a typical day for a ground lighting engineer. And it sounds kind of intense. One minute you're talking to air traffic control, figuring out when to squeeze in maintenance. The next, you're knee-deep in some complex runway lighting issue.
And those planes, they don't exactly wait around, do they? You have to think fast. You're the expert working with all these different teams, electrical engineers, air traffic control, the maintenance crews, everyone to keep those lights running, those planes landing safely.
No pressure, right?
Yeah.
Okay, but then there's another step up. Senior ground lighting engineer. This is where you need, I don't know, a crystal ball to see the future of airport lighting.
Huh. You're not wrong. At that level, it's long-term thinking. Evaluating if they need system upgrades, researching all the new tech, even managing the budgets for these huge projects. Remember those smart lighting systems we talked about? Senior engineer's the one making those a reality.
Wow, so they're not just keeping the lights on, they're shaping how airports work in the future. Talk about impact.
Yeah.
But it's not a solo mission at that point, is it? The guide really emphasized leadership communication.
Oh, absolutely crucial. You're leading a whole team of engineers, technicians, making sure they've got what they need, mentoring them. It's people management just as much as it is managing those complex systems.
Gotcha. Okay, so that brings us to the top, right? The role it seems everyone's working towards. Ground lighting manager.
Yeah.
Now you're like the conductor of this high-stakes orchestra, right?
Love that analogy. You're in charge of everything. Routine maintenance, those big strategic decisions, budgets, regulations, making sure your team's in sync, high pressure for sure.
Even stuff like the guide mentioned working with vendors, contractors outside the airport. So it's not just your own team. You're dealing with the whole industry.
Exactly. You need that technical knowledge, but also business smarts, understanding those airport specifics, but then also contracts, budgets, building relationships. It's a lot to juggle.
So we've talked career path, but there's this other big thing looming, right? Technology. This guide's not shying away from that at all.
Yeah.
How do aspiring ground lighting officers keep up when everything's changing so fast?
It's simple, really, but not easy. Never stop learning. This guide stressed that constantly. Professional development, always. Conferences, online courses, getting certified in those cutting-edge technologies.
Yeah.
Lifelong student, basically.
It specifically mentioned data analysis becoming more and more important, which makes sense. Smart systems, tons of data coming in.
Someone's got to make sense of it all, see how the system's performing, maybe even predict problems before they happen, use that to guide maintenance, upgrades.
So future ground lighting officers, got to know your circuits, but also your algorithms, maybe even do some coding yourself. The future is bright, but it's also digital.
100%. This role, it's changing right alongside the tech. But hey, that's what keeps things interesting, right?
Totally. Okay, but interesting aside, let's talk practicalities. What's the guide say about, job outlook for all these aspiring lighting gurus, salary expectations, all that?
It's hard to give specifics because it varies so much. Experience, location, size of the airport. But overall, very positive outlook for ground lighting officers, according to this guide.
Music to their ears, right? What's driving that demand, though? Any insights there?
One word. Growth. Aviation industry's booming. More passengers, more flights, meaning they need airports that are efficient, well-maintained, and lighting's a huge part of that.
And not just the airports we already have, right?
Mm-hmm.
New ones popping up all over, especially in those rapidly growing parts of the world. More airports, more opportunities for folks with these skills.
Exactly. Air travel is becoming more accessible, more affordable, so they'll need even more skilled ground lighting officers. Bright future, literally.
Perfect. Okay, so we've established this is a career with, some serious potential. But remember those interview questions we peeked at? The guide goes into detail about what scenarios they might throw at you.
It's like a cheat sheet for the interview process. And trust me, you want to be prepared. They're not messing around with, what's your favorite light bulb over here?
One that stood out to me, it was about regulations. Something like, how do you ensure compliance with federal regulations regarding ground lighting? It's a good reminder, this isn't just making things look pretty, it's safety, those strict guidelines from the FAA and all that.
Oh, absolutely. You need to show them you understand those regulations inside and out. And not just knowing them, but how to actually apply them in those real-world airport situations.
Another one, it was all about problem solving.
Mm.
Can you describe a time you had to troubleshoot a complex ground lighting issue? Gets right to the heart of it,
Right. They want to see you think clearly under pressure, diagnose problems fast, come up with creative solutions when things inevitably go wrong. Because, let's face it, at an airport, something's always going wrong.
So true. But it's not all about technical stuff, right?
Yeah.
This guide was big on the soft skills, too. Communication, teamwork.
Oh, essential. High-pressure environment, tons of people to coordinate with, got to get those planes moving. Clear, effective communication is key, explaining technical things, making sure everyone's on the same page, resolving those issues quickly.
Okay, so you've got the technical skills, you work well with others, the rule book backwards and forwards. Anything else that gives you an edge in this job market?
The guide had a good one, something people forget sometimes. Passion. Genuine passion for aviation. Skills are one thing, but being enthusiastic about this whole industry, being fascinated by airports, how crucial lighting is to making it all work.
It's that thing you can't fake, right? That spark when you're talking about approach lighting or knowing you're helping connect people all over the world.
Exactly. Passion's contagious, makes a difference not just in the interview, but in your everyday work, too. Shows you're not just there for the paycheck, you actually care.
Well said. Now, for those of you on the edge of your seats, dying to get into the nitty-gritty details. Well, we're going to take a quick break, but don't go anywhere. In the final part of our deep dive, we'll uncover some surprising facts about airport lighting, leave you with some food for thought as you, potentially embark on your own ground lighting officer journey. Stay tuned. And we're back, lights on, ready for the final leg of our deep dive into the world of ground lighting officers.
Always ready for more. We've covered a lot, but this career guide still had a few surprises up its sleeve, especially those behind-the-scenes things you'd never even think about.
Oh, tell me about it. Did you know those runway lights? Not just plain white. It's a whole color-coded system. I was reading here, it says a single yellow light, just one, on the runway means caution taxiing only. Pilots got to read the runway like a map, even in the dark.
It's true, yeah. Those different colors, they're not just for show. Vital signals to those pilots, telling them, I don't know, taxiing routes, potential hazards. Red, for example, that's stop or danger zone. All about safety, efficiency, keeping things moving.
And speaking of efficiency,
Yeah.
the sheer scale of these lighting systems.
Yeah.
Miles of runway, taxiways.
Yeah.
Just the wiring alone, right?
Yep.
Mind-boggling.
It's like the airport's circulatory system, but instead of blood, it's electricity. And not just the amount, but the complexity. All those circuits, control systems, backup generators in case of a power outage. It's an engineering marvel.
And speaking of marvels, those approach lights.
Yeah.
The ones beaming up into the sky for miles.
Yeah.
Those are seriously strong, Rob.
Oh, yeah, like giant lighthouses guiding those pilots, and even when visibility is 0, got to cut through fog, rain, snow, everything.
Amazing what it takes to keep things running smoothly. But this guide doesn't shy away from the challenges either. Stuff you might not expect.
Right. Important to know what you're getting into with any job.
Absolutely. One thing I didn't expect, it was about wildlife. Specifically, birds. The guide mentioned them as a hazard.
Makes sense, though, when you think about it. Birds, especially big flocks, dangerous for aircraft. And those bright lights can attract them, especially during, migrations and all that.
So then what? Do they, dim the lights when the geese fly over?
Haha, not quite. But ground lighting officers work with wildlife management, using things like bird deterrents, maybe even changing the lighting patterns a bit, make it less appealing.
Who knew? Definitely a career with, like, hidden depths.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, this guide left us with a really interesting question to ponder.
Ooh, lay it on me.
So how's all this automation AI going to change the game for ground lighting officers in the future?
The million-dollar question, right? It's on everyone's mind. This field's no different. Already seeing those smart systems, adjusting to weather, even predicting failures. AI's only getting smarter. Who knows what's next?
Maybe it'll be less about, hands-on fixes, more about data, tweaking algorithms. Like, you got to be fluent in machine language.
For sure. This role's evolving right alongside the tech, but that's the exciting part, isn't it?
Totally. Well, on that note, I think our deep dive into the world of ground lighting officers has reached its destination, folks. Hopefully you've enjoyed this peek behind the curtain into a career that's, well, as crucial as it is often unseen. And remember, whether it's airports or anything else that sparks your curiosity, never stop exploring, never stop learning.